J.D. Vance used to cover his food in butter, but now his plate has spiced lentils and yogurt bowls because of the food fight in his kitchen. His simple Midwestern meals mix with Usha's bold Indian taste, turning every meal into a challenge. Breakfast is a weird mix: bacon and syrup next to turmeric drinks. Tune in, because J.D.'s next bite might change everything or break the peace for good. The food war in one kitchen. J.D. starts his mornings with a hearty Midwestern spread: scrambled eggs, buttered toast, and thick-cut bacon built for energy. His love for pancakes and biscuits drenched in gravy remains strong, always with an extra pour of maple syrup. Usha, meanwhile, prefers lighter, nutrient-packed breakfasts like upma, poha, or idlis with fresh chutneys. Her meals center on whole grains, lentils, and a symphony of spices that awaken the senses. But one morning, one bite changed everything. Over time, their breakfast habits have merged into something unique. J.D. has embraced avocado toast, sometimes with eggs for extra protein, while Usha finds herself incorporating Greek yogurt with fruit and nuts, blending her Indian flavors with Western staples. Smoothies have also become a household essential, with J.D. gravitating towards peanut butter and banana blends, while Usha prefers mango, turmeric, and almond combinations. Breakfast has turned into a fusion meal, proving that food isn't just about sustenance, it's about shared experience. Lunch used to be where J.D. and Usha food philosophies clashed the most. J.D. was the type to grab a thick sandwich layered with meats, cheese, and a side of chips. His ideal midday meal needed to be filling and quick, prioritizing convenience. Meanwhile, Usha preferred balanced home-cooked meals like lentils with rice or vegetable-heavy stir-fries seasoned with cumin, coriander, and mustard seeds. Compromise wasn't immediate, but they found ways to meet in the middle. These days, J.D. has adjusted to more plant-based meals, with chickpea salads and grain bowls making their way into his rotation. Usha, meanwhile, has found a newfound appreciation for J.D.'s affinity for grilled cheese sandwiches, tweaking them with Indian spices or tomato chutney. There are still days when J.D. indulges in a burger, but he now understands the beauty of a well-spiced dal. Dinner time is when their culinary backgrounds truly collide. J.D.'s childhood dinners revolved around hearty portions of meat, often accompanied by mashed potatoes, cornbread, or a heavy helping of mac and cheese. These meals weren't about variety, they were about sticking to what worked. Usha, however, grew up with a completely different approach. Small, flavorful portions that built on layers of taste, often featuring lentils, vegetables, and flatbreads. Instead of trying to force one cuisine over the other, J.D. and Usha have found a way to create meals that celebrate both of their heritages. J.D. has learned to love paneer tikka, while Usha has embraced versions of mac and cheese that incorporate Indian seasonings like garam masala and turmeric. They experiment with fusion dishes that merge their backgrounds. Imagine a shepherd's pie with Indian spices, or a spiced lentil stew with Midwestern cornbread. J.D.'s love of grilled meats still finds its place on the table, but he's grown to appreciate how Usha's plant-based dishes balance the meal. They've even dabbled in meat alternatives, with J.D. surprisingly enjoying well-seasoned tofu and tempeh, though he won't admit it too easily. Usha, in turn, has explored heartier American meals, experimenting with homemade veggie burgers and cheesy casseroles infused with her signature spice blends. Their kitchen isn't just a battleground of taste, it's a melting pot of traditions, constantly evolving. The beauty of their food journey is that it's not about losing one's identity, but about embracing new possibilities. J.D. has come to appreciate that food doesn't need to be drowning in butter to be satisfying, and Usha has realized that comfort food, no matter where it's from, serves an emotional purpose. The culinary adventure doesn't stop with the adults. Their children are growing up with an even broader appreciation for food. One night might be a traditional Indian thali, and the next, it's homemade barbecue with cornbread. Their kids are being raised with a taste for both the bold heat of Indian curries and the rich, comforting flavors of Midwestern classics. They aren't limited to one cultural palate, and that's exactly the way J.D. and Usha want it. Their morning meal is more than just food, it's a statement, a metaphor, a bold declaration that even the most stubborn habits can be broken. The old J.D. would have turned his nose up at anything that didn't involve butter and sausage. The new J.D.? He's trying. And when breakfast is over, he's made it through the first test of the day. But breakfast was just the first test. The real challenge? Dinner. JD's new dinner reality. But the real victory? Samosas. Those crispy golden pockets of joy have won him over completely. JD, who once might have scoffed at the idea of deep-fried vegetarian goodness, now snacks on them like he was born to do it. Some say love changes a man. Others say it's the samosas. Dinner at the Vance household is the final test of the day. It's here that JD truly proves his commitment to his new reality. While he still enjoys his old favorites when dining out, at home he's all in. The man is making dal paneer curries, and yes, he's even mastered lentils. If his political career ever falls through, he could probably open an Indian fusion restaurant. But let's be honest, his evolution wasn't entirely voluntary. The reality is, when your wife and in-laws are serving up generations of culinary expertise, you either adapt or starve. JD wisely chose the former. And while the daily routine is mostly vegetarian, there's always a wild card. Whispers from the inner circle suggest that on special occasions, like, say, an inauguration, JD and Usha throw caution to the wind. Their cheat day meal? A feast so extravagant, so indulgent, that even their closest friends did a double take. What was it? No one knows for sure, but insiders hint that it was something JD wouldn't have touched with a 10-foot pole back in his Ohio days. This shift in dietary habits is not just about food, it's about transformation, adaptation, and, dare we say, a tiny bit of survival. JD, once the poster child for all things American and carnivorous, is now navigating a world of ghee-laced dishes and intricate spice blends. It's a far cry from the hamburger-heavy days of his past, but one has to admire his commitment to blending traditions. Usha has been patient in this process, guiding JD with gentle nudges rather than ultimatums. He's taken on Indian cuisine with the enthusiasm of someone trying to impress his in-laws, and frankly, it's working. His paneer tikka isn't half bad, and his rajma, let's just say it wouldn't offend a seasoned home cook. Beyond the meals themselves, their dinner conversations have shifted too. Food in their home is no longer just fuel, it's a talking point, a learning experience, and a way to connect. JD and Usha's dietary choices reflect the give and take of their relationship. She's embraced some American staples, albeit modified, while he's learning to appreciate the complexity of Indian cooking. Even their friends have started to take notice. Invitations to their home for dinner now come with a disclaimer. Expect spice, expect something vegetarian, and expect JD to offer up a dish he made himself, proudly explaining how he toasted the cumin seeds just right. Some friends are skeptical, others impressed, but one thing's for sure, JD is in this for the long haul. Of course, he hasn't abandoned all his old habits. There's still the occasional steak dinner when he's out on business, and if he finds himself at a classic American diner, you'd better believe he's ordering a burger. But at home, it's a different story. His plate now mirrors Usha's more than it doesn't, and that's something nobody would have predicted just a few years ago. What's next in JD's culinary adventure? Maybe homemade dosa, perfected over multiple trial runs. Maybe he'll master the elusive art of making fluffy idlis. One thing is certain, his days of dismissing vegetarian food as just a side dish are long gone. He's officially part of the world of spices, lentils, and slow-cooked gravies. The Vance household has become a living testament to the idea that food is more than sustenance. It's culture, connection, and compromise. JD might have started this journey kicking and screaming, but he's come a long way. And if there's anything to be learned from his experience, it's that change, even when it comes to something as personal as food, is entirely possible. Usha grew up on a completely different diet. Bold spices, slow-cooked lentils, and fresh rotis straight off the pan. Her family's kitchen was a place where flavors layered on top of each other, creating something deeper than just food. JD, on the other hand, came from a world where seasoning meant salt and maybe a little black pepper. But love makes people do strange things, and before long, JD found himself staring at a plate of spiced chickpeas, wondering how his life had come to this. JD thought he had adapted, but some battles aren't meant to be won. A food war lost. At first he fought it, the flavors were intense, the heat was unforgiving, and the idea of eating an entire meal without meat? unthinkable. But one bite turned into another, and soon he was hooked. He started experimenting, first cautiously, then with full-blown enthusiasm. He even tried his hand at cooking, though not without some disasters. An infamous broccoli pizza incident still haunts their household. But he kept going. Now he can make a decent deal without setting off the smoke alarm, and his paneer tikka has earned Usha's approval. People took notice. Friends who once saw JD as the guy who'd choose a burger over anything else were suddenly watching him devour plates of biryani. His mom, a master of fried chicken and biscuits, found herself sampling homemade samosas and realizing they weren't so different from what she knew. His transformation wasn't just happening in private, it was spilling into the public eye. His food journey didn't stop at home. On the Joe Rogan Experience, he raved about Indian food, admitting that his old ideas of what made a meal satisfying had been completely upended. He talked about how food wasn't just about eating, it was about history, connection, and understanding someone else's world. For a politician known for his no-nonsense approach, this softer, more personal side of JD caught people off guard. His evolving diet even became a conversation topic at campaign events. People would ask him about policy, then slip in a question about his favorite Indian dish. He'd light up, talking about chana masala and spiced cashews like a seasoned pro. He even developed a love for afternoon chai, a habit picked up from Usha's family. These little moments made him feel more relatable, more human. Of course, not everyone was sold. Some critics claimed he was using food to soften his image to appeal to voters who might otherwise be wary of him. Was he just playing up his love for Indian cuisine to score points? In politics, everything is a strategy, but those who know him best say his love for these dishes is real. He's not just eating the food, he's learning to cook it, experimenting with new recipes, and making it a genuine part of his life. Beyond the campaign trail, JD's embrace of Indian cuisine resonated with the Indian American community. For many, seeing a high-profile figure not just tolerate but genuinely appreciate their food felt significant. Indian food has often been misunderstood or dismissed in the U.S., so watching someone like JD openly enjoy it was a small but meaningful shift. His kids are growing up in a home where both cultures thrive. Some nights they eat traditional Indian thalis with dal, sabzi, and chapati. Other nights it's a good old-fashioned American barbecue. They don't have to choose, they get both, seamlessly blending their parents' worlds into one. JD's food journey isn't just about what's on his plate, it's about transformation. It's about how love can reshape someone's understanding of the world. It's about breaking old habits, embracing new traditions, and finding common ground where you least expect it. Sure, he'll always have a soft spot for the food of his childhood, but he's discovered something bigger. Food isn't just fuel. It's a bridge, a story, a way to say, I see you, I understand you, and I'm willing to change. And then there are the snacks. JD used to reach for chips or beef jerky without a second thought. Now he finds himself munching on spiced cashews, roasted chickpeas, and crunchy muruku. He still enjoys the occasional handful of pretzels, but his snack game has definitely leveled up. Even his approach to dining out has shifted. Where he once defaulted to steakhouses and diners, he now actively seeks out Indian restaurants, eager to try regional specialties beyond what he's already learned to cook at home. He's ventured into South Indian cuisine, discovering the wonders of crispy dosas and coconut chutney. He's learned the difference between North Indian and South Indian spice profiles, recognizing that Indian food isn't a monolith. It's a vast, diverse world of flavors and techniques. Did JD truly embrace Indian cuisine, or did he just lose the food war? If love is compromise, who compromised more? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe.